I just sat for a 6-hour examination and then I got back-due by my dealer for Vbt12, so yeah, I'm pretty tired, but hey, what's going on guys? I'm Suzu4 here. Today I am back with a Dailiner deck profile. This is a deck profile that I have prolonged for a very long period of time because I was still trying to refine the ratio, but I think today I got a pretty good number, so I will be showcasing it. Like I just said, because I got back-due for my Vbt12 goods, you probably may not even see any decks from Vbt12, despite the fact that there are both Eradicators and Liberators in that set, which is something I really love, but I may have to let that one go. But let's just go through what we have here. First, in our Grade 3 lineup, we play 4 copies of Dailiner. We play 4 Great Dayusha. We play 3 Disaurus, as well as 2 Diarm. Alright, so I'll go through the whole lineup. So as you can see, there's a lot of Grade 3s in this deck. That's because of Dailiner. Dailiner's first skill is all your Grade 3s have 10k shield. So anything that you have, as long as Dailiner's your vanguard, can be used as like a Grade 1 shield, which is pretty good. The second skill is of course the main skill, Counterblast 1, Soul Blast 1. Open the top 7 cards of your deck, add a Grade 3 from among them to your hand. Oh, okay, add a normal card. That means Grade 1, Grade 2, or Grade 3. If you add a Grade 3, then he will gain 20k 1 crit. So most of the time you do, or you should be adding a Grade 3 to your hand. I mean, yeah, you could choose stuff like Twin Order, but really the question is why? Because that 20k 1 crit literally comes at CB1 SB1, which is insane for its cost. It is once per turn, but you can use it every turn because it's an X skill, which is meant to combo with Great Dayusha, whose skill is to Counterblast 1 when your Vanguard's attack is over. If it was 45k or higher and you have not placed the Vanguard this turn, you can Superior Ride him. All your front row units gain 10k, he gets of course an additional 10k on top of that because of both skills combined. So you can make for a really devastating setup turn with Dailiner into Great Dayusha. I should probably say here though that the others are here more as tech, because this is the main combo. Then there's Disaurus. Disaurus as a Vanguard skill is he gains 5k for each card in the damage zone, which is okay, but you still prefer Dailiner. The second skill is Counterblast 1 after he attacks. If your Vanguard's 35k or higher, put him in the soul, you gain 10k and an extra drive. So you can use this on your first Grade 3 turn. Since you can't use Great Dayusha, what you can do is actually combo Dailiner into Disaurus, which will give you about a 43k Vanguard with 2 crits and 3 with 3 crits and 3 drives, and that is if it's Force 2, but that is still quite good. Then we have our insurance policy, which is Diarm. Diarm's skill is when he's placed on Vanguard or Vanguard, you should put him in Vanguard. If your opponent has 10 or more cards in the hand, your entire front row gains 30k for just absolutely free. 30k on a front row for every unit translates to a free 90k net boost in power, which sounds pretty good. But then you may ask, how often does my opponent have 10 or more cards in hand? I say it works about at least 6 out of 15 games, which is almost half. It's more common than you think, but less rare than you think as well. You can see even DP champions like Stephen Lowe play 1 copy of Diarm in his deck. However, I feel that due to the nature of Dailiner, and because we can afford a bit more flexibility, I think 2 copies is enough such that you have the option, but you don't have to use it. I mean, if your opponent knows that you have Diarm, or he just is not the kind to carry 10 or more cards in hand, you can just throw this out as shield, PG, with your PGs, it's not that big of a deal. But having this option in your deck is really good, and I think this is a must play if you're playing Dimension Police, except Gallop. And Zeal. We don't talk about Zeal. Alright, our Grade 2 lineup is pretty easy. We play relative staples of 4 Didragon, as well as 4 copies of Didumper. So we'll go through each of them. First, Didragon is here because it's a solid 20k beat stick as long as your Vanguard crosses the power threshold of 35k. Alright, it must cross the threshold of 35k. You'll get an additional 10 for free. You can Soul Blast 1 and then give your Vanguard 5k. The Soul Blast is really just in case you can't hit the number, then this is a quick and easy option for you to do so. But mainly it's here because it's a free 20k beat stick. I'm not sure why you would not want a free 20k beat stick. Then we have Die Dumper. Die Dumper's skill is when he attacks, give him 10k, then after that he kills himself. So it's about Die Dragon, but it is less effective. It is a one use only. But he has a second skill. On the Vanguard circle, all your grade 3s gain 10,000 shield. This is a carbon copy of Dailiner's first skill. So you can now see why we can afford to play such large numbers of grade 3s, as well as things such as Die Arm. It's mainly because your grade 3s can be used as shield, so we don't really worry about defense that much. One thing I have to say though is for this deck, you play very little grade 2s. So when you mull, one of your high priorities should actually be a grade 2. It's pretty standard, but I think I have to say it, especially if you do plan on playing this deck, you should try and keep a grade 2 in hand. Our grade 1s are also pretty easy. I mean, we have a staple of DP for Twin Order, we have 4 Die Scooper, and then we play 4 copies of Cosmic Hero, Grand Room. Twin Order is needless to say, he's the most essential card in the DP deck, so I will not explain. Die Scooper is here for 2 reasons. This is because he was being debated over with Die Brave. Die Scooper is relatively better because 1, the 5k that you can get from Die Scooper is free. It's just free. You just place it, choose your grade 3 Vanguard, it gets 5. Die Brave has a Soul Blast. Sure, Die Brave can do it over multiple turns, but then again, if you can gain 20k in a crit, I don't see why that 5k is of such great importance. Secondly, this guy has a really important skill on the Vanguard circle. When you ride on top of him, you can check the top 7 cards of your deck and add a grade 3 from among them to your hand. So this solves ride fixing like instantly because you have so many grade 3s. Dailiner is an essential to ride, but if you just don't find him yet, you pretty much will, and you'll see our trigger lineup. You'll see what I mean. It's almost guaranteed for you to find him. Another thing I think I should give a mention to is the fact that because you do get a grade 3 when you ride on top of Die Scooper, it's effectively a 1-to-1 retrade because you wrote that Die Scooper, so it's 1, and then you get it back, so it's 1, so it's -1 + 1 is 0. So net advantage, you're actually gaining from playing a Die Scooper. Of course, not a lot of people like him because he's a strictly Vanguard-based unit, that's where he excels on, but I don't see it as a big deal. Grand Rope is here for the stereotypical grade 3 searcher. I must say that his 13k booster is a lot more needed in this deck than any other deck, I would say, because 13k he's needed for power, and also having the skill to search for a grade 3 does help in a deck that we play so many grade 3s that need the flexibility. So I would dare say that this is the only grade 3 searcher that's actually worth the triple rare rarity. But regardless, he is pretty good for Dimension Police, so I do recommend you keep him regardless. Last but not least, our grade 1 lineup is 8 draw. And then we play 4 crits, 4 heal, and of course the great Goyusha. Now, I think the crit and the heal is pretty easy to know, but a lot of people wonder why 8 draw. First of all, we don't have an actual way of actually gaining hand, and we have a lot of things we need to cycle through. As you can tell, because Dailiner needs the top 7 cards to have a grade 3, you don't really gain that much if you don't get it, or at least you are looking for quite a fair number of pieces. There is no way of superior calling in this deck, there is no way of restanding unless you're using Great Daiyusha, and even if you use Great Daiyusha, you spend a lot of resources to get the 45k. So if you go around here and there, you realize that draw is actually one of the most important things about the deck. Critical triggers don't really matter because first of all, you are gaining such a large amount of power with stuff like, you know, the Great Twin Order. You don't need to worry about not gaining power. That's just not it's not a question, you see. But the thing is, your crits also don't matter because you'll be playing Force 2 with Dailiner because the power the power is pretty much settled, so you can choose to go with crit pressure and end your opponent as fast as possible with multiple force 2 attacks, as well as Dailiner being himself a natural 3 crit, which is pretty high damage. The draws really just help us to speed up the process of finding what we need, as well as gaining sufficient defenses. As a defense trigger, a draw trigger is the best thing you will get. 10k and a free card, so like I said, I don't see why not. So yeah guys, that is it. That's actually the Dailiner deck profile. As you can see, it was really short because Dimension Police is really kind of easy to play, in a sense that you don't need to think that much in terms of playing. It's just raw power, raw crits, and just go as fast as you can, just whack him. But you're not playing like Excel. You are still trying to gain momentum and move along. Especially in a deck that focuses on stuff like the Great Dayusha, you realize that you actually need 2 Great 3 turns to kill the opponent. So that's why we play stuff like Force 2, as well as have other pieces in play, so you can end him by turn 2, by your second Great 3 turn. And if you don't end him by your second Great 3 turn, you at least have the option open to you that you can now start to weaken him high enough that he is not able to counter attack. So this is really good against most decks. There are some decks that just hard counter Dimension Police. So anything that can rebuild offenses really quickly and or have large defenses for your crits, so stuff like Scarhawk, Night Rose, I would say to extend Luat, but Luat kind of kills everybody. This deck does not that well against full Bronto, but will do well against stuff like Gurgit for some reason. So you need to play up and down here and there to see. Dimension Police is relatively good in the aspect that if you have the key staples, you can just keep playing the deck. I mean, the boss kind of changes it, but if you play the more traditional bosses like Dailiner or even Black, there really isn't that much of an issue. Thank you all so much for watching. If you want to see more deck profiles, there will be more deck profiles, but they're gonna come albeit slower or less new, because like I just said at the start of this video, I don't have my Vbt12 stuff at all, and I'm supposed to get a lot of stuff, but none of it came, and none of it will be coming, so pretty sad, not gonna lie, but I have to move on. I am reaching out to some other content creators to lend me their decks so I can profile it and share on the channel. I'm also still collaborating with X's and whatnot, so you will see some articles, but yeah, just keep in touch, just follow along and see. Thank you all so much for the 100+ subs. It means a lot to me. Really, I'm not very free this point of time because I have a lot of exams, but hopefully very soon my exams will end and then I can publish a bit more content and keep you guys in the loop. Thank you all so much for watching. I'll see you all next time. Goodbye.